Well, hello and welcome to Mindful Mondays with Melanie Morrison. I hope everyone had a beautiful holiday. I know I had a quite lovely one myself. I'm still kind of bouncing back to trying to figure out what day it is as we step into the week and try to connect and ground ourselves into our busy schedules after relaxing and enjoying some time off during the holidays. I am really excited. I have a friend today, and her name is Raya Elyse, and we are going to talk about light language. Such a beautiful and interesting topic. I feel so honored to have her here today. We will, at the end of our conversation, pull a few fun cards for you to help you as you begin to shift into the new season and the new year. So I just want to welcome her here today. Rhea, thank you so much for joining us here today. How are you?
Melanie, I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm just so grateful for your patience as I was bouncing back to the time schedule and connecting with Mindful Mondays. So if you want to just share a little bit about you, I know that you do offer light language. It's very powerful. I've heard your work. It's quite beautiful. But I know light language is a rather new thing. A lot of people aren't super familiar with that. So if you want to just share a little bit about you, and then also maybe give us a little details, a little insight into what light language is and what it means to you.
Sure. Okay. Hi, I'm Rhea. I am a light language healer. I'm a channel, a psychic medium. I read tarot cards. I'm a mom, and I'm an artist and a singer-songwriter. And yeah, I offer these things on Facebook under Raya Elyse, and talking about light language. Okay, so light language is a non-linear communication that is mostly kind of gibberish sounds or tones that are channeled. So they have different flavors depending on where you're channeling them from. So the thing I love about light language is you can't get it wrong when you're beginning to channel it. You just kind of relax and let the light language come through. For me, it started when I was working in a crystal shop and I was holding on to a Lemurian seed crystal, and I was wondering how to clear the crystal. So I would tone and use sound bowls, and as I was toning, I began to kind of spontaneously bring through these different harmonic sounds and consonants and vowels afterwards I was like, what is that? And I heard, it's a Lemurian light activation. So that was back in 2013, around then. And since then, I've learned to just kind of tune the light language into channeling different flavors, different places. You can channel sounds of your soul. It's really great for channeling and expressing certain emotions. Since English is so limited, we don't often have language for what we're feeling. So we can just express it in light language. Then it's a means of getting it out there and moving that emotion. Yeah, so.
I love how you describe it. And you're right, the English language tends to be quite limited. So because we have so many emotions and sometimes we can't always put words to them. And they do sometimes feel quite multidimensional. So it kind of reminds me of, I don't know, I think I had an experience, tell me if this is familiar at all.
Sure.
So I think I had an experience like kind of speaking of the tongues. I decided to try it. This is more like in a religious perspective.
Yeah.
But I had it explained to me, well, you just kind of say a prayer out loud with your feelings and kind of let the words flow.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it really healing because I didn't have to, I could kind of like let my mind go and let my heart take over. I haven't really done it since, but when I watched you, I was so touched by the sound and the emotion and the beauty of it all. I just wanted to know more. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with us. It feels very healing, very outside of the box, but still quite grounded. still grounded. It still felt grounded.
Wonderful.
So that I valued very much. If you had any, so if someone's coming along and they say, maybe they feel, kind of like they're a starseed, or like they feel really drawn to the light language aspects, what kind of advice would you have for them as they start to step into exploring this new almost realm of experience?
Well, I have a few different types of advice. The first one is the best meditation practice that I ever learned. My dad taught me from transcendental meditation. And he basically said, open your eyes and close your eyes, and open your eyes and close your eyes. And I was waiting for him to say what to do. So it was that moment of waiting, just actively listening, just presence. And that is, I think, the key to tuning in and channeling, is when you're not interfering it with anything. There's no thoughts going on. And once you practice that type of meditation, you can expand it more and more with practice. But of course, you'll have days where there'll be extra mind thoughts or chatter or that sort of thing. So I find I access light language a lot easier and more clear right after I'm waking up from in the morning, or waking up from a nap, or right after I'm getting out of the shower, or in the shower, or when I'm meditating, or shamanic journeying, or doing part of my practice. Yeah.
Okay, so for just someone popping on and they're like, okay, well, I don't know what transcendental meditation is. Could you give me just a kind of a small example of how someone may be new to meditation? You said open your eyes and then close your eyes.
Yeah, it was a part of transcendental meditation. I don't think it's the gist of it, though, because transcendental meditation generally focuses on using a seed sound over and over again. And my dad found that was clouded in terms of, when you keep expressing, you're not listening. So I'm not sure if that was actually, I haven't studied transcendental meditation myself. So much from that, but it's from his practice. Yeah.
But if you could kind of explain, so if I were to kind of do it right now, so just so I fully understand, and somebody like kind of just popping on that's never experienced it could understand. So if I just open my eyes and then close my eyes.
Yeah. And then you just wait for me. You just wait for my instruction, kind of thing. So you wait with your eyes closed, and then I'll say, open your eyes. And then continue waiting and listening. And then close your eyes. And then open your eyes. Did you feel that moment?
Yeah.
And when you kind of when you can recognize that, you can anchor it and expand it. It's like you have that frequency's address.
That makes sense. That's why you open your eyes, is because you pull it into your present experience, and then you go back into the meditative state. That is so interesting. I've never heard that method, but I love how you break it down and make it simple for someone maybe just coming on to try something new without a big explanation. And then if they want to dive deeper and get the more, more deep aspects of transcendental meditation, they can. But I like that we can give little pieces. Kind of, sometimes I feel like there are so many gatekeepers to certain types of wisdom, and I like to be able to sort of open the gate a bit and make it accessible to, just the normal person that feels drawn towards that type of thing.
Like, you can't really do it wrong, and the only time when you interfere is when you start like judging or analyzing. So if you learn from a meditation practice, or from just practice to kind of step back and observe, and just kind of like let it go. And sometimes, like, getting into the swing of things, so you could just start saying a string of consonants, and then over and over again until you feel the inclination to start with other consonants, like and you can kind of feel like, you can feel when the energy starts coming in and braiding with your own energy. So I don't feel there's like, I feel like to translate it would be to lose the beautifulness of it, because you can't kind of put it in a box, and it doesn't speak to our heads. It speaks to, like you were saying, our hearts. It speaks to, our souls. And in that way, it expresses in a non-linear, multi-dimensional way what we can't necessarily regularly access on this human field.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I mean, it just kind of reminds me of like when I started really connecting to angels.
Yes.
And sometimes I wonder, if it's such an interesting experience. So I remember, taking a few meditation courses where I was connecting with angels. And then there was the suggestion that you ask what the name was. And so I felt so frustrated because I kept getting like this frequency vibration, like that I couldn't put a name to.
Yeah.
And then so I continued asking, and then I felt like my responses, it's not like you really hear voices or anything, but I felt like the responses, for me, it came with kind of like a sudden knowingness.
Yeah.
I felt like the answer was, well, if you really want a human word, we'll give you one.
Yeah.
But in fact, it's a frequency that you can't like say.
Yeah.
That wouldn't make any logical sense. And so I can really relate to that. If you translate it, then it would kind of take away from that multidimensional meaning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are some people who do translate it and capture kind of gist of that, and that's perfectly great. I tend to shy away from it though, because as any type of frequency or frequency medicine, it's going to affect each person differently. So if I say some things like, this is, I'll have a loose container of an intention when I'm doing light language, or oftentimes it comes to me like, this is what we're doing. And I'm like, okay. But basically, yeah, the translations are generally loose, and to just kind of learn to trust whatever comes up for you. If someone's doing a Lemurian or Pleiadian or, a third eye one, and you feel it in your sacral chakra and it feels more fairy to you, then go with that. And it's basically learning to tune into your own frequency. And once you kind of can recognize that, it's like you can start to begin to recognize the different flavors. And it's so wonderful that we have access to this, library of different flavors and frequencies in which to play with, in which to, kind of use artistically and creatively to shape different modes of healing and getting ourselves back into balance and clarity, or whatever type of, or for sending healing even, for grid work. There's pretty much like endless applications.
Well, I think it's so interesting. And when you say channeling, I feel like sometimes when people hear that word, they go, oh, channeling, oh, that's weird. You're bringing in like a spirit, or, there's just a lot of fear around the unknown.
Yeah.
But, I mean, personally, I kind of look at it like when I'm singing improv, when I'm dancing improv, when I'm doing art, there is even when I'm doing readings, there is a sense that you're connecting with something so much deeper. Yes. And that's really kind of my understanding of channeling, is more of a just it's more of just a connecting with a piece of me that maybe I don't always recognize on the conscious level.
Exactly. I agree with you completely. To me, I feel everybody's channeling all the time. It's just what they chose to be tuning into. For instance, some people are channeling, what I mean, ego stuff, and some people are choosing to recognize that wavelength and to see that it's harmful for themselves and others, and then to choose to kind of explore. And it's not even knowing specifics. It's the open curiosity in a kind of a reverent way that you're like, what's going to happen? And the spontaneity, like when you're in the flow state doing art or singing, or like you were saying, improv, that's exactly it, because you don't have a plan. It just kind of all comes together. And you're like, whoa. And it's really beautiful because in that way, it's kind of an open co-creation with these energies. And the energies, generally the ones I find through working with clients and for myself, like what we have access to, tuning into, what I mean? You can say prayers to, center yourself and ground yourself and make sure you're accessing the most benevolent frequencies. available, the most, healing and that sort of thing. But I haven't ever encountered anything that that would make people feel like they needed to be protected.
Yeah, no, but I see that a lot. I think it's good that that we talk about it, though. I mean, because I feel like sometimes, like there is a lot of this sense of, if there's something a need to protect yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like the need is more to ground myself
Yes.
and align myself with like my own integrity, and
Yes.
to make sure that if I'm doing something that doesn't feel right, then I honor that and back off and say, okay, well, why doesn't this feel right?
Yeah.
Does it maybe not feel right because I have a block in my mind, something that I've been told over and over of a truth that's maybe not my own? Or does it not feel right because it's really not right for me? And really just taking time to explore that before I dive into something new, because I feel like it's almost like more important the energy we feel when we're doing something than even what we're doing sometimes.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm totally with you there. And it's funny because talking to my guides about that, they're like, you're less as individualistic as you are aware of. Like you're always pulling from the different library of frequencies to combine like archetypally, personality type, like we're all different flavors of individuation. And it's beautiful, the myriad of expression of these. And but at the same time, it's like we already are doing it anyway. When we bring consciousness to it, is then we can have more self-awareness and really understand what frequencies fit us and what feels like our home star frequency is something I pull in to kind of wash myself in when I'm feeling like pulled away from myself, or I'm feeling confused, or once you can recognize these frequencies, it's like you can amplify them and bring them in and utilize them in ways that can be restorative to self. And I feel like the biggest thing we could do for our healing and for healing, the world and healing everything, is to know ourselves truly. And to know ourselves truly isn't going to fit in a container of language. It's not going to fit in a container of anything. It's just, being open to see what resonates and what lands. And when it lands in a way that is, grounding and nurturing and helps you feel, more of yourself. And then it's kind of like, in a way, it's like phonetic soul retrieval.
Yeah. I love all of your explanations. I like when you say the flavor that gives like kind of an aspect that I can really relate to. So Taylor Spence says hello Taylor. Thank you for joining us on our fun conversation about light language today. And Jennifer Eggert said it's a mixed bag. Well, I know we did mention talking about just kind of when you feel like you're that unicorn of the family, right? You're just a little bit different, or you feel like you weren't necessarily born on this earth. I know I certainly have felt like that so many times. Obviously I was born on this earth, but I felt like my origination, the way from a small child, I feel like I would look at the way things were done and I would say, this doesn't make any sense. Why do we do it this way? And then, the answer always was, well, this is just how it is. This is how we do it. Oh, but it doesn't make sense. And I always felt like I was trying to fit into a place that I saw things so differently. And I think growing up, I thought, oh, this is so horrible. I can't fit in. I can't, I don't belong here. And then at some point in my life, I went, oh, well, that's kind of why I'm here, because I can see things in a different way, and I can take those things and then discuss them, and that becomes the uniqueness of who I am. So I wanted to chat with, about that a little bit, with us being kind of reflecting on the holidays. I feel like the holidays are very much about, connecting with our loved ones. And I know that those of us who are certainly outside of the box can encounter some spaces of feeling alone. Yeah. Would you have any advice for someone going through that at all?
I would say, personally speaking, like I've been estranged from certain family members that were harmful to me, and this is, I believe it's the 5th year. And coming out of that, I did pretty much the best I possibly could to make the situation work. And then I just understood that, like, unless someone's respecting my boundaries and respecting my autonomy and, you know, approaching me from that place, there's not really anything to work with. So and oftentimes, like when we join into a family group, it like their sameness kind of amplifies our differentness, and that can make us feel sad or alone, you know, and not fitting in. And oftentimes we incarnate into these family groups to bring healing. So oftentimes we are kind of like clustered or with the entire generational ancestry line healing and everything else. And in that way, we can be scapegoated too and projected upon. So basically, when dealing with families and feeling all those feelings that come up, I would say, like, you came into this family to bring healing, and that's why you're bringing everything up. You're shining a light on everything that's dysfunctional and not working. And in that way, when you do that in a personal basis, like one-on-one with somebody, your light can kind of magnify or amplify their own discordance within themselves. So they can either, you know, be curious and be like, oh, what is this? And then take responsibility for that thing and then go and do the healing that they need to kind of clarify the discordance. Or they can, more often than not, kind of project that upon the person that's illuminating that for them and, you know, scapegoat it. So I would say self-care and boundaries and energy hygiene and taking the space that you need whenever you need it. I remember I'd have a little kit on my person that had different essential oils and flower essences and crystals and what have you. It was kind of like my energetic first aid kit. And I'd make sure to be really prepared with that when going into a family situation. And if the conversation was going to talk about things that were harmful to me, or if it became like critical or humiliating or any of those types of things, like I would go to the bathroom and I would do my grounding and clearing and centering and, you know, utilize whatever medicines I had. And, you know, if it came to the point where it was just a continual assault on my sensitivity and I couldn't take it, then I would leave. And, you know, yeah.
Well, I think I like what you said in the very beginning, just about having boundaries. I think that that's so important. And I think you know, even beyond the toxicity, you know, there can be very healthy families that still, I feel like, need a boundary of understanding that this is your path, this is my path. We are going to take our own spiritual path. Yeah. And even if they don't understand that, they had a chance to live their life, they had a chance to take their path, and now we're on our journey, and our journey is ours alone. So I think that really establishing that, you know, I love you, I know that you love me, this is my path, whether you understand it or not, this is where I need to go, where my soul and my spirit, my heart is leading me.
Yeah.
So I am so excited that we get to pull some cards. You showed me a few cards that you brought today. So those of you, I'm just going to give them a little bit of instruction for our card pulling, those of you that are new to it. So we are on StreamYard. So if you haven't clicked on the StreamYard link yet, go ahead and click on that so you can join us in comment. Otherwise, you'll just, when you comment, you'll come up as Facebook user. And if you're trying to comment in one of the groups, unfortunately, this Facebook doesn't allow the commenting in a StreamYard in the groups. So just go ahead and pop on one of the pages. There's Sacred Shifts, Angel Card Readings, and Sacred Shifts, Women's Circles. And then there's Melanie Morrison, my page. So you can click on either one of those pages that we're streaming, and then you can connect with us there. But we are going to draw 4 cards kind of back and forth. And just setting the intention that we get to go into this new year being guided and connected in whatever way that we need the most. So go ahead and connect with your intuition. And I encourage you to kind of choose a number that is really calling to you. What that does is it allows you to connect with your intuition and kind of grow that. Or feel free to listen to all 4 cards. So I'm going to bring on Rhea and let her pull the first card.
Okay, we're going to start with Alessandria Gioli's Arcturian Galactic Travelers deck. And I'm just going to tune into the group. Ah, yes. We have Celsidera, Warrior Queen, Alano. So a galactic warrior queen we have. And her greenness really reminds me of plant life and of growth. So that kind of in Chinese elemental astrology, yin wood is the flower that grows through the concrete. So it's that yin warrior energy is the same type of energy that is persistent and strong, but also maintains the female integrity expression, which has been really distorted in a lot of ways. And I feel like we're getting to know what the feminine is all over again now. So yeah, to look in the book a little bit, she's the warrior queen of elementals. She's here to guide and protect her people. She works in many realms and dimensions. I am in a realm higher than the 3rd. However, I have experience with working with the clash of the will of others and the will of my people. So that really feels also like the Mars and Eris in Aries energy, the fiery drive. Yeah.
So you say that again. Was it the warrior of the yin?
Yeah. Well, she's the warrior queen, so I kind of pulled the yin warrior through my own interpretation of that.
Well, when you said the warrior of the yin, I really thought of like strength through love.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I really love that card. So for card number 1, if you chose that, did you have any extra insight or thoughts on that for card number 1?
It feels like to me when I did a journey to a shamanic journey to my descendants, and when I met my descendants, they were a lot more fae looking, and they combined technology with biology in a harmonious way. So it looked like plant life and circuitry, the Fibonacci spiral coming into infusing. So it looks like there's going to be coming in is a lot of innovation energy towards harmonizing technology with biology in ways that can both heal the earth and heal pollution and biodegrade plastics and that sort of thing, and also a lot more emphasis, I feel like, on replanting forests and forest energy and that growth energy.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you so much. So powerful message, especially for those who are really connecting to that outer worldly dimension. So thank you for sharing that deck. It's beautiful.
You're welcome.
All right, so I'm going to pull card number 2, and it looks like Katherine Campbell also. So this one is for you. If you have any questions or want clarification, let me know. Did actually pull it for time's sake while she was discussing the card. So I pulled from this deck. Here, let me show you. This deck, I really love it. It's watery. It's of the mermaids and the dolphins. And I pulled Make a Decision. So feeling stuck or indecisive, listen to your intuition and make a decision. So I really kind of heard on top of that, make a wish, So, and then also I was getting a feeling of let the universe decide what the no answer. So you just decide your yeses, what your yeses are, and then let the no's fall away. Let the universe decide what the no's are. So what I mean by that is when you're thinking about what you want to bring into your life, instead of you saying, oh, well, I want this, but I can't because, just go ahead and affirm what it is you do want, and then let everything fall in place as it's meant to be. So I love to go ahead and look into that space. I feel like because of the water and how they're kind of submersed and all of the lily pads, I feel like the water kind of represents the emotion, and sometimes how overwhelming emotion can feel about what we may want. And then all the different lily pads kind of speak to me about all the many options that you have. And then I take a look up into the sky and I'm reminded how much potential there is out there and the vastness of what is available to us. So feel free to mention what really sticks out here when you see this, and ask any questions if you had any questions in regards to this card. Okay, so that is for card number 2. Did you have any extra insight, Raya?
Well, I just loved what you said about the lily pads, and thinking about the lily pads, I always think about lotuses and, you know, the 7 feet of mud it has to go through to sprout and then to surface, you know, as this beautiful reflective flower on the water. And in that way, there's the energy of, you know, of making it through, you know, tenacity, you know, to become like a champion of our circumstances, to blossom despite hardships and slings and arrows of outrageous fortune and anything else that might come at us.
Yeah, you know, we often forget that there's some mud to walk through sometimes. So Katherine said that she saw the palm trees a lot in that. And for me, I love when people can comment like what they see in the card, because I feel like it adds like an extra element of a message for them. And for me, when she said palm trees, I automatically felt like reach for the stars, like those little palm trees in the stars. So allow yourself to reach higher than you believe you can attain. Reach for the stars. And when you're setting that intention to receive. So, and then we are ready for card number 3, and that's all you, girl.
Okay, we've got The Oracle of the Strange Forest here by Gabriel Cash. And I pulled a card earlier just for time's sake again, and I got the bat. So I got the bat for card number 3. And that's really interesting because there's a lot of bat energy from 2020 with the bats association with the supposed origins of the virus and that sort of thing. And that bat is a really animal guide that comes up through our dark night of the soul and our initiation process. The bat, like the hangman in the tarot, hangs upside down. So from that vantage point, we must have different perspectives and kind of, when we're upside down too, we can't hold anything in our pockets. So we have to kind of let go of things that aren't for us anymore, are no longer serving us. Bats hunt through sonar. So they have that kind of echolocation, which is a really beautiful card to get when we're talking about light language, because it's all the myriad of implications of use for sound and sound healing, you know, as a navigational tool, you know, to see our way in the darkness, right? Yeah.
I like that. And so many times people automatically assume that if it's a night creature, it's not necessarily good. But I don't think that's so. I mean, I think if you know, in the Western world, we do that. We kind of look at certain creatures as being bad, you know, snakes are bad or bats are bad, but they're all just a part of the beautiful creation that we call life. And so if we're to look at it from that place, then we can start to embrace all of nature. And if we can embrace all of nature, we get to embrace all the dimensions, all the aspects, our shadow side, as well as our bright and cheery side, the pains, like all of it. So I like that you pulled that card, and I feel like, the bat flies in the night, but it's not any less beautiful than the bird, in my opinion.
Yes. And bats are pollinators, so they seed and pollinate a lot of the growth that we see, and they do that, at night when they're not being appreciated for doing that. And bat guano is supposed to be the greatest fertilizer. So there's a lot of fertility to shadow work, to mining the depths and finding the gold, and accepting different aspects of ourselves, whether they're like pretty or light, or what I mean, or whether they take different form and they have different sleep schedules.
Yeah, it can be. I noticed when you had the card up, I really noticed the moon.
Yeah,
the new moon. So it almost gives me that feeling of coming out of the dark night of the soul and stepping into something that's less heavy, and knowing that you have a new positive adventure ahead of you. So I love that message. Thank you so much for sharing that. Could you tell me again one more time what deck that is?
This is the Oracle of the Strange Forest. It's by Gabriel Cash. Yeah.
I've never seen these. So now I'm going to want to go shopping for more cards.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Jennifer Eggerts, if you had any questions, that's card number 3. So feel free to mention any questions or clarity that you'd like for that. And then we can kind of give you what insight comes up. And I'm going to pull, or I have pulled card number 4. And I pulled from this deck. I don't know why. I don't use this deck a whole lot, but it felt really powerful. It's the Archangel Power Tarot cards. So I pulled from that deck. And then I pulled this card here. You have to see it. It's the 8 of Raphael. So Raphael, to me, really speaks about health and healing. And 8, it feels very abundant to me. I don't know, Rhea might have extra insight about the 8, but I always see the infinity symbol with 8. And then the word message. So first, I guess let me sit back for a minute. Before we get into what the words actually say in the card, I'm going to do this because it's much more fun, is I'm going to take the card and cover it. And then so that you can just see the image. If I can get a good enough image here. How does that look? Okay, so you can kind of see the image. And so if you take time yourself to kind of notice what stands out for you, feel like it adds like an extra element to the message. So just taking a moment and feeling into what you see, what really catches your eye, what really emotions come up when you take a look at this card. And so the wording is, there is something better. There is something better waiting for you. Do what you know is right. A spiritual quest. I love that. So for me, for card number 4, it really talks about just inner wisdom. That if you've done a lot of spiritual insight, if you've done a lot of inner work, there is going to be more. Don't think it's over. Things will get deeper, and it's for me. I do get this sense of abundance, but honestly, the abundance feels like it comes from within. And I did see, I did really notice that gold on the bottom there, and it feels like she's, the gold is right there. She could be in front of it and grabbing it and, oh, I have my gold. But really, what she's receiving in her life for card number 4 is more valuable than money. It is so immense. So love, all of those things that really give us a reason to get up in the morning and live our life and feel passion. I feel like that's what this is really talking about. And there is that something better. And so it's important that if you have a decision this week or next week, or are faced with it now, to really look into your heart, connect with your integrity and your intuition. And just make the decision that you know is right. no matter what anybody else is saying or thinking, or just follow your integrity and make that right decision, because doing that is going to lead you on a spiritual quest that brings beyond abundance beyond words. So did you have any extra insight, Rhea, as I
yeah, thanks. What a beautiful card. And I see this tarot correspondence is there. I'm not familiar with the deck, but to me, green and Raphael is like the heart chakra, which is the element of air. So I associated with the Eight of Swords. And that was interesting to kind of compare my knowledge of the Eight of Swords with the image in the deck, which is she's just about to go across a bridge to, a handsome gentleman on the other side with a beautiful, green forest. But it brought to mind the fairy tale imagery of when we go across a bridge and we encounter the troll under the bridge who, makes us answer riddles or, kind of go through that initiation experience. And when to the Eight of Swords is the image of the woman who's kind of bound and she's surrounded by 8 swords. And it speaks to how our old programming disempowers us and keeps us small or contained. And so to compare it to the troll under the bridge, the troll could very well be aspects, the thought form of our old programming, trying to stop us from getting towards that, that beautiful new path, or the way that our ego might try to, protect us and keep us safe, which was effective when we needed that, but is trying to prevent us from going into the unknown. So, and this is such a beautiful card for these times, because I feel like this next year and this next energy is a real invitation to kind of take an inner assessment to what old belief systems, are taking residence, and, are they serving us, or are they, muting us or containing us?
Yeah, I definitely felt that too. Like if we think, like if someone were to ask me on a practical basis, because a lot of what we're talking about is like quite outside the box, but on a practical basis, what would be a good example of something like this? And I think it's, that job that you stay in, that you kind of know you're meant to leave because you're not serving your purpose. And you just stay there because it's, paying, you're afraid to make that next step, to maybe step into something that you feel you've been kind of asked to do and move on. So, or that relationship that you're staying in because it's comfortable, but inside of you it's time to go. So yes, thank you so much for sharing all of your thoughts and your insights about light language and more. Did you have any extra insight to give to those popping in and connecting with you today? And can you tell us how to reach you, for those of you who those people that are really drawn to light language and want to connect with you, how they can get a hold of you?
Sure. I just want to, first of all, thank you so much, Melanie, for having me on. This was really beautiful and a lot of fun. I had a great time. And yeah, thanks so much for having me. Final insights. I feel like I might want to just bring that through in a non-linear way and see what light language wants to come through for that.
Yay. I wasn't going to ask you, but I will see it.
But let me just see here. I'm just going to tune into the energy of the group here. Tine mianero, critiaro, corapataya, critia manero, shinaya titia, titia, tataya, koyatatim, and titkaratitia, shitakaratitia, corpatia, romania, shinakititia, torotaritia, carmania, shinitium, carasanaya, shaya, siniese, caramanayo, shaya. Awesome. That it started off really it started off really nurturing and grounding. It did kind of like a smoothing balm for me, and then it got into a little bit of where I could feel little minute adjustments, like in my ears and my throat, and to kind of calibrate me. And then when I reached that clarity, then the kind of joyful, kind of bubbly energy came in of the joy of new potentials dawning. And this, I feel like a lot of what's coming through frequency-wise is the celebration of, yay, we are finally getting to the point of humanity to, resolve the heartless systems into one where we, is compassionate led, the love warrior and the yin warrior that we spoke of. So thanks so much for letting me tune into that. That was awesome.
I'm so glad you did. And what a beautiful gift for all of those joining us today. Well, thank you so much for coming on and that beautiful light language share. I appreciate you so much. Jennifer Eggert says, yes.
Yay. Yay.
Definitely felt chilled.
Awesome. I forgot my contact. You can reach me at Raya Light on Facebook, or my name is Raya Elyse. I'm currently gonna just be revising I'm revising my website and my YouTube for the new year. This 2020 for me was a lot of schooling and upgrading, so I'm soon ready to apply it in different ways. But yes, reach me on Facebook at Raya Light, and I'll be happy to set up an appointment or talk about whatever I offer or whatever you need and where those coincide. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Happy New Year. Sending you all love as we shift into this new energy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.